Hi, welcome to Staffing Part 1. Let's look into the learning outcomes for this short video. At the end of this video, you will be able to Number 1. Explain the importance of human resource management and the human resource management process. Number 2. Describe the external influences that affect the human resource management process. You must be thinking, why human resource management is so important in an organization. Human resource management, or we can call it as HRM, is important for 3 reasons in an organization. First, as various studies have concluded that HRM can be a significant source of competitive advantage. And that is true for organizations around the world. Second, human resource management is an important part of organizational strategies. Achieving competitive success through people means that managers must change how they think about their employees and how they view the work relationship. Finally, the way organizations treat their people has been found to significantly impact organizational performance. For instance, one study reported that improving work practices could increase market value by as much as 30%. This is the report showed. The common threads among these practices seems to be a commitment to involving employees, improving the knowledge, skills, and abilities of an organization's employees, increasing their motivations, reducing leaving on the job, and enhancing the retentions of quality employees while encouraging low performers to leave. Even if an organization does not use high-performance work practices, other specific HRM activities must be completed in order to ensure that the organization has qualified people to perform the work that needs to be done, meaning the activities that compose the HRM process. As such, high-performance work practices are the work practices that lead to both high individual and high organizational performance. This slide refers to high-performance work practices. So we are going to see each of the practices here. First, self-managed teams. It is a group of employees that is responsible and accountable for all or most aspects of producing a product or delivering a service. A self-managed team carries out supporting tasks such as planning and scheduling the workflow and managing annual leave and absence in addition to technical tasks. Second, decentralized decisions making. It is any process where the decision-making authority is distributed throughout a larger group. It also connotes a higher authority given to lower-level functionaries, executives, and workers. This can be in any organizations of any size, from a governmental authority to a corporation. Next, training programs to develop knowledge, skills, and abilities. This is to upgrade the skills of the employees. Next is on flexible job assignments. These are alternate arrangements or schedules from the traditional working day and week. Employees may choose a different work schedule to meet personal or family needs. Alternatively, employers may initiate various schedules in order to meet their customers' needs. Next is on open communications. In business, open communications is the ability of anyone on equal conditions with a transparent relations between cost and pricing, to get access to and share communications resources on one level to provide value-added services on another level in a layered communication system atmosphere. Next is on performance-based compensations. It is a system for rewarding employees financially outside of their regular salaries. Companies who utilize these particular systems must be prepared to define and track performance of the employees, as well as provide compensations such as bonuses when objectives are met according to benchmarks or standards. Next is on staffing based on person job and person organizations fit. Well, person job fit is important when hiring competent and capable employees. Person's organizations fit has been linked to reduce employee turnover. Next is on extensive employee involvement. Person fit job is positively related to job involvement from the employees. Next is on giving employees more control over decisions making. Actively engaging employees or the workers in the decisions making process increase overall company morale. Next is on increasing employee access to information. Giving employees ready access to any relevant information definitely enable better customer service. This is on HRM process. This slide shows the 8 activities in this HRM process. The first 3 activities ensures that competent employees are identified and selected. The next 2 involve providing employees with up-to-date knowledge and up-to-date skills. And the final 3 ensures that the organization retains competent and high-performing employees. Before we discuss those specific activities, we need to look at external factors that affect the HRM process. The entire HRM process is influenced by the external environment. Those factors most directly influencing it includes the economy, employee labor unions, governmental laws and regulations, and demographic trends. We are going to understand each of these factors in the following slides. The economy, lasting impact of the Great Recessions. The global economic downturn has left what many experts believe to be an enduring mark on HRM practices worldwide. Many of these jobs are temporary or contract positions, rather than full-time jobs with benefits. Bear in mind, economic factors include all those economic forces which affect the HRM functions. Highly relevant economic factors will be like suppliers, customers, competitors, and globalizations. One of the biggest external influences is the shape of the current economy. Not only does it affect the talent pool, but it might affect your ability to hire anyone at all. One of the biggest ways to prepare against economic conditions is to not only know what is happening in the world around you, but also create a plan for what there is an economic downturn. All the companies can make do in a bad economy if they have a rainy day fund or plan to combat the harsh environment. Looking to the situation right now with the pandemic COVID-19. Next forces will be labor unions. A labor union is an organization that represents workers and seeks to protect their interests through collective bargaining. In unionized organizations, many HRM decisions are detected by collective bargaining agreements, which usually defines things such as recruitment sources, criteria for hiring, promotions and layoffs, training eligibility, and disciplinary practices. Work stops, labor disputes, grievances, and negotiations between management and labor are just a few of the challenges that the organizations and managers face when their workforce is unionized. Next, we are going to look into the government laws and rulings. Affirmative actions. It is the organizational programs that enhance the status of employees or the members of protected groups. An organization's HRM practices are governed by a country's laws. A number of important laws and regulations affect what you can and cannot do legally as a manager. Because workplace lawsuits are increasingly targeting supervisors as well as their organizations, managers must know what they can and cannot do by the law. Many organizations have affirmative actions programs to ensure that decisions and practices enhance the employment, upgrading, and retentions of members from protected groups such as minorities and females. That is, an organization refrains from discriminations and actively seeks to enhance the status of members from protected groups. Here are some of the major HRM laws, which is on equal employment opportunity and discriminations. And this slide is on major HRM laws as well, but it is more on the compensations or the benefits. Whereas for this slide is also on major HRM laws, but it is on health or safety. What about HRM laws globally? It is important that managers in other countries be familiar with the specific laws that apply here. In Western Europe, the two most common forms of representative participations are work councils and board representatives. Work councils link employees with management. They are groups of nominated or elected employees who must be consulted when management makes decisions involving personnel. Board representatives are employees who sit on a company's board of directors and represent the interests of the firm's employees. Now, we look into the last forces, that is the demographic trends, or we call it as demography. Workforce trends in the early 21st century will be noted for three reasons. First, changes in racial and ethnic compositions. Two, an aging baby boom generations. And third, an expanding cohort of generations Y workers. Meanwhile, the labor force is aging. The 55 and older age group, which currently makes up about 13% of the workforce, will increase to 20% by 2014. Another group that is having a significant impact on today's workforce is Gen Y, a population group that includes individuals born from about 1978 to 1994. Gen Y has been the fastest growing segment of the workforce, increasing from 14% to more than 24%. With Gen Y now in the workforce, analysts point to the 4 generations that are working side by side in the workplace. Now, it is time for us to look into knowledge check questions. Questions number 1. Which of the following steps in the human resource management process identifies and selects competent employees? A. Orientation and training. B. Human resource planning and recruitment. C. Compensations and benefits. Or D. Planning and performance management. Do try these questions. Let's look into knowledge check questions number 2. During an economic recession, what happened? A. Human resource managers find it more difficult to replace employees. B. More qualified candidates are available to fill fewer open positions. C. Candidates face less competitions for open positions. Or D. Candidates expect better benefits and pensions. Do try this question as well. Let's look into knowledge check questions number 3. Labor unions use what to protect the rights of their members? A. Work stops. B. Commercial arbitrations. C. Collective bargaining. Or D. Labor disputes. Try this question also. I have also included essay types of knowledge check questions. Questions number 4. Explain the importance of human resource management and the human resource management process. So these questions require you to write a short essay. Same goes to questions number 5. Describe the external influences that affect the human resource management process. So for today in the short video, we can conclude that we have learned first, the importance of human resource management and the human resource management process. Number 2, we have learned the external influences that affect the human resource management process. Now, if you've already done the knowledge check questions, here are the answers. Questions number 1, answer is B. Questions number 2, answer is B. Questions number 3, answer is C. Let's shall move on to the questions and we discuss the answer together. Then we are going to see the answer for essay type of questions. Knowledge check questions number 1. The answer given just now was B. Let's shall see. Which of the following steps in the human resource management process identifies and selects competent employees? B. Human resource planning and recruitment. Have you got this correct? For questions number 2, the answer given also B. Let's shall see. During an economic recession, B. More qualified candidates are available to fill fewer open positions. As for this knowledge check questions number 3, answer is C. Let's shall see. Labor union use collective bargaining to protect the rights of their members. Have you got these 3 questions correctly? Let's shall move on to the next type of the questions. This is the answer for questions number 4. Alright, to recap, the question is, Explain the importance of human resource management and the human resource management process. The answer given here is number 1, competitive advantage, number 2, organizational strategies, number 3, impact of employee treatment on organizational performance. Now, do not forget you have to write essay. So how the essay will look like? Now, you can start up with human resource management is important for 3 reasons. First, it can be a significant source of competitive advantage. Then you explain what does it mean. Second, it is an important part of organizational strategies. Again, you have to provide the explanation here. And finally, the way of organizations treat their people has been found to significantly impact the organizational performance. So again, for this third point, please explain further. For the answer, questions number 5 is here. But to recap the question says, describe the external influences that affect the human resource management process. So the answers should be covering economy, labor unions, government legal environment, demographic trends. So again, like what I mentioned to you, that you always have to write essay. Okay, so how you are going to start with, you can say that the economy affects how employees view their work and has implications for how an organization manages its human resource. A labor union is an organization that represents workers and seeks to protect their interests through collective bargaining. In unionized organizations, HRM practices are detected by collective bargaining agreements. HRM practices are governed by a country's laws, and not following those laws can be very costly. Demographic trends such as changes in the racial and ethnic compositions of the workforce, retiring baby boomers, and the expanding cohort of Gen Y, Gen Z, and so forth, will also have implications for HRM processes as well. With that, we have come to the end for this video, and the same, here are the references for these topics. Thank you so much for your attention. See you again. Bye-bye. Hi, welcome to Staffing Part 2. Just to remind all that in the previous video, we have learned about the importance of human resource management and the human resource management process, and we also learned the external influences that affect the human resource management process. Today, right now, let's look into the learning outcomes for this short video. At the end of this video, you will be able to, number 1, describe the human resource planning. Number 2, explain each step in the human resource process. However, this particular video, we are going to only learn recruitment and selections. Human resource planning is the process by which managers ensures that they have the right number and the right kinds of capable employees or the people in the right place and at the right time. Through plannings, organizations avoid sudden people shortage or surpluses. Shortage here means that not enough workers. Surplus here means that too many workers. HR planning entails 2 steps. Number 1, assessing current human resources, and number 2, meeting future HR needs. Let's look into the current assessment. Managers begin HR planning by inventorying current employees. This inventory usually includes information on employees such as name, education, training, prior employment, language spoken, special capabilities, and specialized skills. Sophisticated databases make getting and keeping these informations quite easy. There are 3 current assessments that's under the HR planning. Number 1, job analysis. This is an assessment that defines jobs and the behaviors necessary to perform the jobs. Second, job description, or it can be called as position descriptions. It is a written statement that describes a job. Third, job specifications. This is a written statement of the minimum qualifications a person must possess in order for them to perform a given job successfully. Future HR needs are determined by the organization's missions, goals, and strategies. Missions here means that it's a short-term goal. Now, companies that do not carefully synchronize the qualifications or the backgrounds of employees surely pose risks of increased liability, poor reputations, and lower performance. Demand for employees results from demand for the organization's products or services. After assessing both current capabilities and future needs, managers can estimate areas in which the organizations will be understaffed or overstaffed. Then, they are ready to proceed to the next step in the HRM process. If employees' vacancies exist, managers should use the information gathered through job analysis to guide them in recruitment. Recruitment means that locating, identifying, and attracting capable applicants. On the other hand, if HR planning shows a surplus of employees, managers may want to reduce the organization's workforce. That is through recruitment. They are all opposites. Recruitment and recruitment are opposites. This slide explains different recruitment sources that managers can use to find potential job candidates. Now, we are looking into one by one. Number 1, at the slide here shows internet source. Internet source can have advantages such as reaches large numbers of people, can get immediate feedback, whereas disadvantages here, it may generate many unqualified candidates because this internet source can reach too wide and too many people can apply for it. Second, employee referrals. Employee referrals here means that you as employees, you refer someone that you know. The person can be your relative, your friends, or your family member to the organizations. The advantage here is knowledge about the organizations provided by current employee, because you as a current employee, for sure you are going to introduce the company or talk about the company to the one that you tend to introduce here. And the other advantage here is can generate strong candidates because a good referral reflects on the recommender. Since you are the recommender, for sure you are going to introduce someone that you think is good to the company. You definitely not going to introduce someone that you think is bad attitude and so forth to the current company that you are working. Disadvantage may not increase the diversity and mix of employees. Like myself, I am from academic. For sure, when I want to introduce someone to INTI, let's say, I will introduce someone that as a lecturer, because I might not have friends from bank, from other industry. So therefore, you can see that the diversity is not there. Third, company website. Company website where you can actually, just like INTI. INTI may have vacancy available in INTI website. Same goes to McDonald. McDonald may be introduced or advertise their vacancy through McDonald website. The advantage here is it has wide distribution, because again, whoever log into the website, they will be able to see there is a vacancy. And the other advantage here is can be targeted to specific groups only, meaning to those who know that particular company website. The disadvantage here, it will be the same as the first one, internet. It may generate many unqualified candidates because you can reach too many people. The next here is college recruiting. College recruiting here means that you can come to the college and recruit the students. Of course, when you recruit the student, you are recruiting those who are going to graduate or already graduated. The advantage here is large centralized body of candidates, because looking to per semester, every time per semester, those graduate students are many. The disadvantage here is limited to entry-level positions only, meaning since the students are just fresh graduate, they may not have any of the working experience. So when they come to your organizations and work, the only positions they can work is very limited. That is just the entry level. Last point here is professional recruiting organizations. This is, we call them as job hunting organizations, meaning any organizations that they want to look for candidates, they will register to these professional recruiting organizations. And you as the candidates, you can walk in or refer to any of these professional recruiting organizations and to see is there any vacancy available or not. The advantage here is good knowledge of industry challenges and requirements. The company that's looking for vacants or looking for applicants, for sure they already inform these professional recruiting organizations the types of employees that they want. The disadvantage here, it will be little commitment to specific organizations. So of course the pool of the specific organization will be very limited. That can be the disadvantage here. The other approach to controlling labor supply is so-called as recruitment, which is not a present task for any manager. Recruitment options are shown in this particular slides. Although employees can be fired, other choices may be better. However, no matter how you do it, it is never easy to reduce an organization's workforce. Now, shall see the option one by one. First option here states firing. Firing here means that, the description is shown here. Permanent involuntary termination. The word here is involuntary, meaning you are not willing to be terminated. Second option, so-called as layoff. Layoff here means that temporary involuntary terminations. So that is the difference between firing and layoffs, because layoff is just temporary. May last only a few days, or it can be extended up to few years. The third option here is so-called as attrition. Attrition here means that you are not going to fill any vacancy. So it's stated here, not filling openings created by voluntary resignations or normal retirements. Meaning, if in the organizations, anybody that resigned or anybody that has already reached up to the retirement age, there is no vacancy or no filling. It is so-called as attritions. Next option, so-called as transfers. Transfer here means that moving employees either laterally or downwards usually does not reduce costs but can reduce intra-organizational supply-demand imbalances. Meaning, for example, branch A needs employees, and this particular vacancy can be filled by the employee from branch B because transfer. You transfer the employee from branch B to branch A. The next option, so-called as reduced work weeks. How it works? Let's just see. It means that having employees work fewer hours per week. So instead of you ask the workers to work 8 hours per day, so most likely you just ask the workers to work for 5 hours per day. Or it can be shared jobs, meaning instead of 3 workers, you just need to call 2 workers to come in and to do 3 workers' jobs. The 2 workers are going to share the work or perform their jobs on a part-time basis. Meaning you just need to come per hour and the company is going to pay the employees hourly basis. That is so-called as reduced work weeks. Another example here is instead of you get the employees to work 5 days per week, you may ask the employees to come 3 days per week. That is also called as reduced work weeks. Next, so-called as early retirements, meaning that providing incentives to older and more senior employees for retiring before their normal retirement dates. Meaning that instead of you get the employees to retire at the age of 55 or 60, you encourage them to retire at the age of 51 or 52. Next, the last point here is job sharing. Job sharing here means that having employees share one full-time position. Just like I mentioned here just now, instead of you hire 2 workers or 3 workers, most likely you were going to hire lesser just to do other people's job. That is so-called as job sharing. Once you have a pool of candidates, the next step in the HRM process is so-called as selections. Selection here means that screening job applicants to determine who is best qualified for the job, or in other way of saying, to ensure that the most appropriate candidates are being hired. Managers need to select carefully since hiring errors can have significant implications. Selections involves predicting which applicants will be successful if hired. As shown in this particular slide, any selection decisions can result in 4 possible outcomes: 2 correct or 2 errors. I'm going to show you the slide, which is the next slide. This is the one just now I mentioned that selections involves predicting which applicants will be successful if hired. As shown in this particular slide, any selections decisions can result in 4 possible outcomes: 2 correct and 2 errors. A decision is correct when the applicant was predicted to be successful and proved to be successful on the job, or when the applicant was predicted to be unsuccessful and was not hired. In the first instance, we have successfully accepted. In the second, we have successfully rejected, as you can see from the cell. A valid selection device is categorized by a proven relationship between the selection device and some relevant criteria. A reliable selection device indicates that it measures the same thing consistently. Federal employment laws prohibits managers from using a test score to select employees, and clear evidence shows that once the job, individuals with high scores on this test outperform individuals with low test scores. On the test that is reliable, any single individual's score should remain fairly consistent over time, assuming that the characteristics being measured are also stable. No selections device can be effective if it is not reliable. This validity and reliability is talking about selections, for your information. This slide shows the selection tools available for a managers. Because many selection tools have limited value for making selections decisions, managers should use those that effectively predict performance for a given job. Now, let's look into the types of the tools available. First, application forms. The main characteristics of application forms here is cover almost universal use, meaning every organization will use application forms. Most useful for gathering information that related to the employees or the candidates. It can predict job performance, but not easy to create one that every organization can predict or can use to predict. The next is written test. It must be job-related written test. This include intelligence, aptitudes, ability, personality, and interest tests. And these written tests are popular. For example, personality tests, aptitude tests, IQ tests, EQ tests. Relatively good predictor for supervisory positions. Third, performance simulation test. This, you can see that it uses actual job behaviors. Work sampling, test applicants on the tasks associated with that job. This is more appropriate for routine or standardized work. This is the assessment center that is stimulate jobs, and you can see that it is more appropriate for evaluating managerial positions or potential. The next tool is interviews. And again the same, almost universal use. Every organization will tend to use interviews to select the employees. Must know what can do and what cannot be do or asked during the interview. Can be useful for managerial positions as well. The next one here is the background investigations. It's used for verifying applications data, valuable source of information, and it can be used for verifying reference checks, not a valuable source of information. Next one is physical examinations. These are for jobs that have certain physical requirements. and for certain organizations, mostly used for insurance purposes. Physical examinations here, I will say in Malaysia, most of the organizations will require it because they want to check whether the employees or potential employees suffer from any of the sickness or not. One thing managers need to carefully watch is how they portray the organizations and the work an applicant will be doing. If they tell applicants only the good aspects, they are likely to have a workforce that is dissatisfied and prone to high labor turnover. To increase employee job satisfaction and reduce labor turnover, managers should consider a realistic job preview, short form called as RJP. This is a preview of a job that provides both positive and negative information about the job and about the company. It is time for us to look into the knowledge check questions. Questions number 1. An assessment that defines jobs and the behaviors necessary to perform them is known as A. Job description, B. Job specification, C. Job preview, or D. Job analysis. Do try these questions. Knowledge check questions number 2. Recruitment is the process of what? A. Moving employees laterally to reduce intra-organizational supply-demand imbalances. B. Locating, identifying, and attracting capable applicants. C. Screening job applicants to determine who is the best. Or D. Selecting candidates to fill open positions. Do try this question as well. Now, let's move on to knowledge check questions number 3. If human resource planning shows a surplus of employees, management can reduce the organization's workforce through A. Recruitment, B. Decruitment, C. Increase work weeks, or D. Reduce job sharing. Do try this question as well. Again, this video there is one essay types of knowledge check question as well. Questions number 4 says that discuss the tasks associated with identifying and selecting competent employees. Do try, and we are going to discuss the answer together. For this short video, we can conclude that we have already learned first, the human resource planning, and number 2, we have also learned each step in the human resource process that include recruitment and selections in this particular video. Here are the answers for the knowledge check questions, MCQ type. Answer for questions number 1 is D, number 2 B, and number 3 is B. Let's shall see the questions together. Okay, let's see this knowledge check questions number 1. The answer given just now was D. Let's shall see. An assessment that defines jobs and the behaviors necessary to perform them is known as a job analysis. Answer is D. Have you got this correctly? For knowledge check questions number 2, the answer is B. Let's see. Recruitment is a process of B. Locating, identifying, and attracting capable applicants. So, have you got this correct also? let's move on to the next questions. Questions number 3. As for knowledge check questions number 3, let's see if human resource planning shows a surplus of employees. Management can reduce the organization's workforce through. The answer is B, decruitment. Have you got this correct also? Let's move on to the essay type of questions. Answer for questions number 4. Okay, this is the slide shows it. However, let's look into the question. The question says that discuss the tasks associated with identifying and selecting competent employees. So the answer here is covering planning, that's in HR planning, which cover job analysis, job description, job specification. And beside this, it's also covered the recruitment or decruitment, selections, realistic job preview. Now, I always say that the essay type of questions means that you will have to write more. Now, how to write more? Let's see. You can start up with saying that human resource planning is the process by which managers ensure they have the right number and kinds of capable people in the right place at the right times. Employers must cautiously or carefully screen potential job applicants. A valid selections device is categorized by a proven relationship between the selection device and some relevant criteria. A reliable selection device indicates that it measures the same thing consistently. The different selections devices include application forms, written and performance simulation tests, interviews, background investigations, and in some cases, physical examinations. A realistic job review is important because it gives an applicant more realistic expectations about the job, which in turn should increase employee job satisfaction and reduce the turnover. This is because under the RJP, if you still remember, managers tend to share good and bad of the company. With that, we have come to the end for this particular video. Here are the references. Thank you so much for your attention. Bye-bye. Hi, welcome to Staffing, Part 3. Just to remind all, in the previous video, we have already learned how to describe the human resource planning, explain each step in the human resource process. However, in the previous video, we only covered the recruitment and selections. Today, or now, let's look into the learning outcomes for this particular video. At the end of this particular video, you will be able to explain each step in the human resource process. In another way of saying, we are going to continue the previous video, and today we are going to finish it up but with orientation, training, performance appraisal, compensations, and benefits. A person starting a new job needs the same type of introduction to his or her job and the organizations. This introduction is being called as orientations. There are two types of orientations. First is so-called as work unit orientations. Second is so-called as organizations orientations. Let's look into the work unit orientation first. Work unit orientations familiarize the employee with the goals of the unit, or we call it as the work unit, clarifies how his or her job contributes to the unit's goals, and includes an introduction to his or her new co-workers. Whereas for organizations orientations, it is to inform the new employee about the company's goals, history, philosophy, procedures, and rules. It should also include relevant HR policies and maybe even a tour to the faculty or to the facilities. After the orientations, let's look into the employee training. Employee training is an important HRM activity. As job demands change, employee skills have to change as well. Managers, of course, are responsible for deciding what type of training employees need, when they need it, and what form that training should take. Employee training is a work program that provides employees with specific knowledge and skills to facilitate and improve job performance in current roles. Quality employee training and development allows organizations to retain the right talent and boost profits for the organizations. This slide shows the types of training available in an organization. It's divided to two types. First, general type. Under the general types, it includes communication skills, computer system applications, and programming, customer service, executive development, management skills and development, personal growth, sales, supervisory skills, and technological skills and knowledge. As you can see that under this type of the category, the training type is general. Whereas for the specific training types, it covers basic life work skills, creativity, customers education, diversity or so-called as cultural awareness, remedial writing, managing change, leadership, product knowledge, public speaking or the presentation skills, safety, ethics, sexual harassment, team building, wellness, and others. And this group of the categories are more specific. This slide provides a description of the various traditional and technology-based training methods that managers might use in an organization. Of all these training methods, experts believe that organizations will increasingly rely on e-learning and mobile applications to deliver important information and to develop employees' skills. Let's look into these training methods one by one. The first method shown in this slide is on-the-job training. Now, the on-the-job training, the main characteristics here is employees learn how to do the task simply by performing them, usually after an initial introduction to the task. Meaning, this particular employees has already have a basic knowledge about the task. And these employees will get the training in that particular company itself and at his or her workplace. Second method, so-called as job rotation. Job rotations here is showing that employees work at different jobs in a particular area, getting exposure to a variety of tasks. Meaning, previously, let's say example, previously the employees was from marketing department. Now, if let's say these particular employees want to apply for job rotations, these particular employees may pace in the department so-called as human resource. That's in other than the existing department. The third method, so-called as mentoring and coaching. Under the mentoring and coaching, employees work with an experienced worker who provides information, support, and encouragement. And this can be called as apprenticeships in certain industries. So this particular experienced worker normally is a senior who can have the ability to teach the junior. Next method, so-called as experimental exercises. Employees participate in role-playing, simulations, or other face-to-face types of training. Now, these simulations here means that the training place is going to set up exactly the same as a workplace. It is so-called as simulations. Next, workbooks or manuals. Employees refer to training workbooks and manuals for information, just like a textbook for them. Next is classroom lectures. Employees attend lectures designed to convey specific information, just like in the classroom setup. So the employee is going to learn from the trainer. These slides will show the descriptions of the various technology-based training methods. First method shown here, CD-ROM, DVD, video types, audio types, postcards. So this type of the characteristics here, it says employees listen to or watch selected media that convey the informations or demonstrate certain techniques. It's all pre-recorded. The second method shown as video conferencing, teleconferencing, satellite TV, whereby employees listen to or participate as information is conveyed or techniques demonstrated through this conference. Next method, so-called as e-learning. Under the e-learning, it is used the internet-based learning where employees participate in multimedia simulations or other interactive modules. The last here is so-called as mobile learning. Mobile learning, it will go through or via mobile devices. As you can see, these types of the training methods are all online. There is no face-to-face, and you do not need to go to any of the classroom to learn this type of the training. Next, we move on to employee performance management. A performance management system establishes performance standards used to evaluate employee performance. How do managers evaluate employees' performance? That is where the different performance appraisal methods comes in. You must be thinking that why employee performance management is so important. This is because every employee have the right to know that how you perform in the organizations. These slides and the following slides shows the performance appraisal methods. Although appraising someone's performance is never easy, especially with employees who are not doing their jobs well, managers can be better at it by using any of the 7 different performance appraisal methods shown in this slide and the following slides, along with providing frequent feedback. A description of each of these particular methods, including advantages and disadvantages, is being shown in this slide and the following slides as well. Now, let's look into these methods one by one. First method is says that it's a written essay. Evaluator writes a description of employees' strengths and weaknesses, past performance, and potential for future. Provides suggestions for improvement if there is. Whereas this type of methods, the main advantage here is simple. The disadvantage here it is maybe better measure of evaluators' writing ability than of employees' actual performance. This is because under these methods, evaluator, that means the superior, is the one who writes. And from time to time, you can realize that the evaluator or the boss, we so-called as superior, tend to be better in writing the essay and not the employees. Second method here, critical incident. Evaluator focuses on critical behaviors that separate effective and ineffective performance. With these methods, the main advantage here is rich examples, behavioral based, because in this type of the methods, the evaluator actually check on the employees' behaviors in certain situations. The main disadvantage here is very time consuming and lacks quantifications. Quantification here means that using the quantity or the number to justify it. The next method, so-called as graphic rating scales. It is popular method that lists a set of performance factors and an incremental scale. Evaluators goes down the list and rates the employees on each factors under the scale. The main advantage here is provides quantitative data. That means it can be using the number to justify. Not time consuming, very easy. The main disadvantage here is it does not provide in-depth information on the job behavior because this graphic rating scale is merely numbering. Let's continue on the performance appraisal methods. The following method, so-called as BARS, it stands for Behavioral and Code Rating Scale. The main description shows here saying that it is a popular approach that combines elements from critical incident and graphic rating scale. If you still remember, these two are from the previous slides. Evaluator use a rating scales, but items are examples of actual job behaviors. In other way of saying, these methods able to measure the employee's behavior, and at the same time you have the number because it has the graphic rating scales to measure the employee's performance. The main advantage here is focuses on specific and measurable job behaviors, whereas the disadvantage here shows that it's very time consuming. It takes a lot of time for you to prepare and difficult to develop. The next method, so-called as multi-person comparison, whereby employees are rated in comparison to others in work group, meaning employee A performance is going to be compared with employee B, and employee B is going to compare with employee C and so forth. So they tend to compare one another. The main advantage here is compares employees with one another, so they tend to feel that it's competitive and they tend to improve their skills from time to time. However, the disadvantage here is difficult with large number of employees. Very difficult for you to measure or to compare among them. And you have to be careful with the legal concerns. The next method, so-called as MBO. MBO stands for Management by Objective. Under this method, employees are evaluated on how well they accomplish specific goals. Why is that specific goals? It is because it's measured by objective. The main advantage here is it focuses on goals, the objectives, and tend to be result-oriented. Again, this method is very time-consuming. The last method shown in this slide is 360 degrees appraisal. In this appraisal, it's utilized feedback from supervisors, employees, and co-workers. In other way of saying, everybody that has contact with this employee has the rights to measure the performance of this particular employee. The advantage here is very thorough, very detailed, because you got all the feedbacks from different angles, different people. And for these methods, the main disadvantage here is very time consuming, because you need to gather a lot of information from different group of people. Then we are going to move on to compensations and benefits. Just in case you think that compensations and benefits decisions are not important, a survey shows that 71% of workers surveyed said their benefits package would influence their decisions to leave their job. Managers must develop a compensation system that reflects the changing nature of work and the workplace in order to keep people motivated. Organizational compensations can include many different types of rewards and benefits, such as base wages and salaries, wage and salary add-ons, incentive payments, and other benefits and services. Employee benefits commonly include offerings such as retirement benefits, healthcare insurance, and paid time off. Many organizations are addressing the needs of their diverse workforce through offering flexible work options and family-friendly benefits to accommodate employees' needs for work-family life balance. Now, we look into these two types of pay. You have the skill-based pay. It is a pay system that rewards employees for the job skills they can demonstrate. The next type here is so-called as variable pay. It is a pay system in which an individual's compensation is contingent on performance. That is so-called as variable pay. Now, let's look into what determines pay and benefits. How do managers determine who gets paid what? Several factors influence the compensations and benefits packages that different employees receive. These slides summarize these factors, which are job-based and business or industry-based. Many organizations, however, are using alternative approaches to determine compensations. Skill-based pay and variable pay, which we have learned just now. Now, let's look into this, what determines pay and benefits in detail. We start with the kind of job performed. The question here is, does the job require high level of skills? If high level of skills, normally the pay will be higher, or the benefit will be better. Second, we look into the kind of business. It's referred to what industry is the job in. Certain industry, you will realize that the pay is better. The next, unionizations. Is the business unionized? If under the unionized, the pay and benefit definitely will be better than an industry which is not. Next is on labor or capital incentive, or so-called as intensive. Is the business labor or capital intensive? If it is more on the labor intensive, definitely the pay, it will be better off. Next is on the management philosophy. What is management philosophy about the pay? If management think that with high pay can motivate the workers, then that particular industry or that particular company will pay more. The next one here is geographical location. Where is the organizations located? If this organization located in city, definitely the pay will be higher. Next is on company profitability. How profitable is that particular business? If that business or that company earn a lot, most likely the company will be willing to pay higher. Next is on the size of the company. How large is the organization? If the organization is huge, definitely the company will be able to pay higher. The next one here is employees' tenure and performance. How long has the employee been with this particular organization, and how was he or she performed? If this employee has been long in the organization, definitely the person's pay will be higher. And the other factors will be the performance. If this particular employee's performance all the while is good, for sure these employees will be getting higher pay. After looking into the compensations and benefits, next area we need to cover or we need to look into is contemporary issues in managing human resources. There are 3 areas that we need to learn. First is about downsizing. Second, sexual harassment. And third, how the company control HR costs. Now, managing downsizing. First of all, we need to understand what is the meaning of downsizing. Downsizing can be called as layoff. It's the planned eliminations of jobs in an organization. When an organization has too many employees, which can happen when it is faced with an economic recession, declining market share, too aggressive growth, or poorly managed operations, one option for improving profits is to eliminate some of these excess workers. During the most current economic recessions, many well-known companies downsize, including, among others, like Nokia, Dell, General Motors, Siemens, and so forth. Years since the recessions ended, layoffs continue, although not as frequently. Some HR experts suggest that a cost associated with mass layoffs is the damage that can cause to long-term growth prospects. How can managers best manage a downsized workplace? Disruptions in the workplace and in employees' personal lives should be expected. Stress, frustration, anxiety, and anger are typical reactions of both individuals being laid off and the job survivors, meaning both parties. This slide lists some ways that managers can lessen the trauma both for the employees being laid off and for the survivors. Now let's just see the tips here. Treat everyone with respect. This is very important. And communicate openly and honestly. Meaning, what you need to do here is, as a HR personnel, inform those being let go as soon as possible. Tell surviving employees the new goals and expectations. Explain the impact of layoffs. Next is to follow any laws regulating severance pay or benefits. Provide support or counseling for surviving, meaning the remaining employees. Reassign roles according to individuals' talents and individuals' background. Focus on boosting morale. Offer individualized reassurance. Continue to communicate, especially if possible, one-to-one. Remain involved and available as a HR personnel. Have a plan for the empty office spaces or cubicles so it is not so depressing for surviving employees, because working environment is also important for employees. Next, on the contemporary issues in HR is on managing sexual harassment. So first of all, you need to understand what is sexual harassment. It is any unwanted actions or activity of a sexual nature that explicitly or implicitly affects an individual's employment, performance, or work environment. Sexual harassment is a serious issue in both public and private sector organizations. The last contemporary issues in HR is controlling HR costs, which cover employee health care costs, employee pensions plans costs. Is it any wonder that organizations are looking for ways to control their healthcare costs? How? First, many organizations are providing opportunities for employees to lead healthy lifestyles. From financial incentives to company-sponsored health and wellness programs, the goal is to limit rising healthcare costs. Obviously, the pensions issue is one that directly affects HR decisions as well. On the other hand, organizations want to attract talented, capable employees by offering them desirable benefits such as pensions. But on the other hand, organizations have to balance offering benefits with the cost of providing such benefits. It is come to the time for knowledge check questions. Here are 3 essay type of questions. First, explain how companies provide employees with skills and knowledge. Number 2, describe strategies for retaining competent, high-performing employees. The third question here, discuss contemporary issues in managing human resources. Do try these 3 questions and we are going to come back for the answer. We can conclude that for today's video, we have already learned how to explain each step in the human resource processes, which cover orientations, training, performance appraisal, compensations, and benefits. Now, let's look into the answer for questions number 1. Explain how companies provide employees with skills and knowledge. Here are the answers. First of all is orientation. Second, training. What are trainings that involve? It's cover professions, industry, specific training, management, supervisory training or skills, mandatory or compliance informations, customer service training. And whereas you also can use traditional training versus technology-based methods training. Now again, the same as I always say, that you will have to write essay. How to start? You can say that orientation is important because it results in an outsider-insider transitions that makes the new employee feel comfortable and fairly well adjusted, lowers the likelihood of poor work performance, and reduces the profitability of an early surprise resignations. The most popular types of training include professions, industry specific training, management, supervisory skills training, mandatory or compliance informations, and customer service training. This training can be provided using traditional training methods that are on-the-job, job rotations, mentoring and coaching, experimental exercises, workbooks or manuals, and classroom lectures, or by technology-based methods such as CD, DVD, video types, audio types, video conferencing, or teleconferencing, or e-learning. So these are the example that you can write for this type of the questions. For second questions, the answer is listed here. But first of all, let's look into the question first. Describe strategies for retaining competent, high-performing employees. The answers are performance management system, performance appraisal methods, factors influencing compensations and benefits, skill-based pay systems versus variable pay system. Okay, how are you going to write lengthy or long essay? You can start with a performance management system establish performance standards used to evaluate employee performance. The different performance appraisal methods are written essays, critical incidents, graphic rating skills, BARS or BALS, multi-person comparisons, management by objectives, and 360-degree appraisal. The factors that influence employee compensations and benefits include the employee's tenure and performance, kind of job performed, kind of business or industry, unionizations, whether it is labor or capital intensive, management philosophy, geographical locations, company profitability, and the size of the company. Skill-based pay systems rewards employees for the job skills and competencies they can demonstrate. In the variable pay system, an employee's compensations is contingent on the job performance. Last question is on discuss contemporary issues in managing human resources. The answers are downsizing, sexual harassment, controlling HR costs. Managers can manage downsizing by communicating openly and honestly, following appropriate laws regarding severance pay or benefits, providing support or counseling for surviving employees, reassigning roles according to individuals' talents and backgrounds, focusing on boosting morale, and having a plan for empty office spaces. Sexual harassment is any unwanted actions or activity of a sexual nature that explicitly or implicitly affect an individual's employment, performance, or work environment. Managers need to be aware that what constitutes an offensive or hostile work environment, educate employees on sexual harassment, and ensures that no retaliatory actions are taken against any person who files harassment charges. Also, they may need to have a policy in place for workplace romances. Organizations are dealing with work-family-life balance issues by offering family-friendly benefits such as on-site care, childcare, flexi-time, telecommuting, and so on. Managers need to understand that people may prefer programs that segment work and personal lives, while others prefer programs that integrate their work and personal lives. Organizations are controlling HR costs by controlling employee health care costs through employee health initiatives, that is to encourage healthy behavior and penalize unhealthy behaviors, and controlling employee pension plans by eliminating or severely limiting them. With that, we finish all these 3 questions and the 3 answer discussions. With that, we have already finished this whole chapters. or this short video? Here are the references. Thank you so much for your attention. See you again. Bye bye.